You buy a metal, not for its beauty, not for its rarity, but for what it does. Silver conducts electricity better than any other element. It reflects light with near-perfect efficiency. It kills bacteria on contact. And for most of human history, it functioned as money. Very few materials do all of that at once, and that is exactly why silver keeps becoming strategically inconvenient. When a material sits at the intersection of industry, technology, and monetary history, restrictions on its sale do not merely regulate a commodity. They reveal something about the system imposing those restrictions. The question isn't whether you should own silver. The question is why systems keep needing to control it. Start with the mechanics of the market itself. Physical silver and paper silver are not the same thing. One exists. One represents a claim. In 2024, the paper silver market trades roughly 200 times the volume of actual physical silver mined each year. Futures contracts, ETFs, certificates, and derivatives create a pricing system where most participants never touch the metal. This works, but only as long as most claims are never exercised. The price of silver is determined primarily by contracts settled in cash, not by bars changing hands. But physical silver cannot be printed. It must be mined, refined, and transported. Global production sits around 1 billion ounces per year. Industrial consumption takes approximately 60% of that supply, which means the gap between paper and physical exists long before anyone notices it. It becomes visible only when delivery is demanded. In March 2020, when financial markets came under acute stress, that gap briefly surfaced. The price of physical silver bars in London diverged from futures prices in New York by as much as $4 per ounce. Refineries were closed. Transport was interrupted. The paper market said one thing. The cost of acquiring actual metal said another. The divergence lasted weeks. It resolved not because supply increased, but because demand for physical delivery declined once paper markets stabilized. This is the first signal. When systems are stressed, the difference between a claim and a thing becomes quantifiable. Now add the industrial layer. Silver is not optional in modern electronics. Photovoltaic cells, semiconductors, medical devices, and high-frequency switches depend on its conductivity. Substitutes exist for some applications, but not all, and substitutes are often less efficient. Annual silver demand for solar panels alone has already grown from roughly 50 million ounces in 2014 to over 160 million ounces by 2023. Electric vehicles require roughly twice the silver of traditional cars. Data centers, 5G infrastructure, and defense systems continue to increase baseline consumption. The market is small. Total above-ground silver inventories are estimated at around 3 billion ounces. That sounds large until you compare it to how quickly industry consumes it. At current demand levels, visible inventories represent only roughly 3 years of industrial use. This creates fragility. A supply shock, a logistics breakdown, or a surge in competing demand can tighten availability far faster than production can respond. And because the market is small, even moderate disruptions have disproportionate effects. Governments notice this. The Hunt brothers episode of 1979 and 1980 demonstrated what happens when a small group attempts to corner a strategically sensitive commodity. Nelson Bunker Hunt and his brother William accumulated silver contracts representing roughly 100 million ounces. As delivery dates approached, the price spiked from $6 per ounce in January 1979 to over $49 in January 1980. The regulatory response was immediate. The CFTC imposed position limits. The COMEX changed margin requirements in the middle of the trade. The Federal Reserve instructed banks to stop lending for silver speculation. The message was clear. This market could not be allowed to dislocate further. Silver dropped to $10 per ounce within months. The intervention was justified as protecting market integrity. But the urgency of the response revealed how thin the margin of stability actually was. A commodity critical to industry, with a small market and a monetary legacy, was treated as too important to be left to market forces alone. The rules changed because the system couldn't afford for them not to. This pattern does not end here. In 1933, Executive Order 6102 prohibited private ownership of gold. Silver was not included initially, but the Silver Purchase Act of 1934 authorized the government to acquire domestic silver at a fixed price. The stated purpose was to support silver-producing states during the Depression. The functional result was direct state control over a monetary metal. During World War II, the U.S. government requisitioned silver from the Treasury for use in the Manhattan Project. Silver's conductivity made it essential for calitron magnets used in uranium enrichment. Industrial necessity overrode monetary convention. In each case, restrictions followed stress. The metal didn't cause the crisis. It was repurposed as a tool for crisis management. This brings you to the present mechanism. When a government restricts, taxes, or controls the sale of silver, it is not reacting to the metal. It is reacting to conditions under which the metal's properties become inconvenient. If currency is stable, industrial supply is reliable, and financial claims function smoothly, there is no reason to restrict access to a commodity. Restrictions appear when one or more of these conditions begin to fail. A restriction on silver sales signals that the gap between claims and physical goods has become large enough to matter. It signals that industrial dependencies have created vulnerabilities markets alone cannot resolve. It signals that the symbolic and functional roles of the metal have converged into a single point of systemic stress. Silver, in this sense, acts as a pressure gauge. You cannot fix a broken pressure gauge by replacing it. The gauge is showing you something about the system it measures. The same is true of regulatory behavior. When paper markets diverge from physical markets, authorities face a choice. They can allow prices to reflect scarcity, which destabilizes contracts and creates winners and losers. Or they can impose controls that suppress the signal, which preserves stability but conceals the underlying imbalance. History shows a clear preference for the second option. Position limits, margin changes, trading halts, and outright bans are tools for managing dislocations. They work by limiting participation, reducing leverage, or freezing activity until conditions temporarily normalize. They stabilize outcomes, not causes. This is structure. Systems built on leverage, derivatives, and fractional claims function efficiently under normal conditions. Under abnormal conditions, they fail openly. Silver, because of its dual role and small market size, reaches those limits earlier than most assets. When you see restrictions on silver, you are not seeing the cause of instability. You are seeing the point at which instability became impossible to ignore. The industrial constraint adds another dimension. If silver becomes unavailable or prohibitively expensive, production lines stop. Solar panel manufacturing slows. Electronics shortages cascade. Medical applications face rationing. These are not abstract risks. They are operational failures governments cannot absorb. A restriction on silver sales in a modern economy is not just a financial decision. It is an industrial triage decision. It redirects available supply toward critical infrastructure and away from speculative or monetary demand. This signals that the system has reached a point where rationing physical resources is preferred to market allocation. That is not a policy choice. It is a threshold. The final question is not what silver is. It is what silver is not. Silver is not a hedge against systemic failure. It is evidence that failure has progressed to a stage where physical goods must be controlled. Owning silver during such a period does not protect you from the restrictions. It places you within the mechanism enforcing them. If the system stabilizes, restrictions lift, and silver returns to being a commodity. If the system does not stabilize, restrictions tighten, and ownership loses influence over outcomes. The value of silver in this framework is not as a solution. It is as a signal. When governments begin restricting access to a material that is simultaneously industrial, monetary, and indispensable, the story is no longer about the metal. It is about the system that can no longer function without controlling it.